After Don Michael Corleone took out the heads of the 5 families and sealed his unanimous power within the mafia, he looked to legitimize the family. After moving to Las Vegas, Michael is continuing to expand his power, looking to buy more casinos in Las Vegas. We also learn that Michael is going to make a deal with the powerful crime lord, Hyman Roth, who's making Michael an offer he can't refuse. But little did Michael know what Roth's real plan was, or did he? Throughout The Godfather Part 2, we see Michael Corleone and Hyman Roth play an intense game of chess, both seeming friendly to each other on the surface, but masking their true intentions. And after a long game of this chess match, Michael eventually catches Roth off guard, checkmating him. Hyman was a shrewd and very devious character in the film, and you could argue he was the toughest adversary Michael went up against. But if this is the case, then how did Roth falter, and what led to his downfall? Let's hop into it. Hyman Roth first came onto the scenes on behalf of his associate, Johnny Ola, who came to talk business with Michael. We learn that him and Michael are looking to make a deal of some sort, but not everyone is happy about this. A little later on during the party, Frank Pentangeli walks in to speak to Michael and is unhappy. He tells Michael that 2 associates of Roth are cutting into his territory in New York, disrespecting him, and Pentangeli wants them dead. But with Michael's upcoming business with Roth, he tells Pentangeli to do nothing since it could interfere with business. Michaels goes on to say even his father did business with Roth and respected him. Frankie agrees, but he also says that Vito never trusted Hyman Roth. You may not know this, but Hyman Roth actually grew up in Hell's Kitchen, the same neighborhood as Vito. He worked in the neighborhood as a car mechanic, and Clemenza noticed he was really good at his job. In a deleted scene in Part 2, Clemenza brings Hyman in to fix a truck and meet Don Vito. In this scene, it is discovered that Hyman's real name was Hyman Sachowski, but Clemenza doesn't like his name and calls him Johnny Lips. Vito suggests a better name and asks Hyman who the greatest man in the world is to him. He responds, Arnold Rothstein. He was called Roth since then. Rothstein was a mobster, well known for fixing the World Series in 1919. An interesting fact is that Hyman Roth was based on the real-life mobster Meyer Lansky, who actually knew Rothstein in real life, but that's beside the point. Furthermore, when Prohibition started in the 20s, Roth and Vito began running molasses out of Cuba to make bootleg rum, generating big profits for both of them. Hyman went on to become friends with Mo Greene and helped him develop Las Vegas into a huge gambling operation. And in 1955, when Greene was assassinated, Hyman became bitter and wanted revenge for his friend's death. Roth knew it was Michael who took out Mo and became increasingly closer to him so he could eventually whack Michael. Hyman and Michael first meet when Michael visits him in his home in Florida to talk business. Now, it is important to note that this was after Michael's near assassination, so Michael was already suspicious of everyone around him, including Roth. This talk between the two is short, but Hyman actually makes his first mistake here. When Michael gets to Roth's place, Roth talks about how he loves football and baseball before even mentioning anything. He then says that he's heard Michael had some trouble, referring to the shooting. He tells Michael that the most important thing is that he's all right, but it seems Michael isn't even paying attention. He gets up while he's saying this to close the door. This exchange seemed completely disingenuous on Roth's part. Michael immediately begins talking about Pentangeli, telling Roth that it was Frankie who tried to have him killed and that he'll visit him soon. Michael emphasized that nothing interferes with their future business plans, to which Hyman agrees. But he doesn't even acknowledge anything about Pentangeli or the Rosado brothers who are working under him. If you're Roth, wouldn't it be optimal to show concern for what happened or offer to help whack Pentangeli? Roth says they will make history in the next months, and if so, then keeping Michael alive should be a priority after what just transpired and to make it look like it was someone else. But instead, Roth ignores what Michael says about Pentangeli. And after this, Michael asks again about Pentangeli, saying he's a dead man and if Roth objects this or not. Roth turns away muttering, he's small potatoes. The complete lack of acknowledging Pentangeli alerts Michael that Roth is a serious candidate for trying to kill him. And after when he meets with Pentangeli, he tells Frank it was Roth who did it. This conversation seems to have single-handedly confirmed it was Roth. This was Roth's first mistake. Later in the film, we see Michael go to Cuba to go to the meeting with Roth, all the other mobsters, and the corrupt Cuban president Fulgencio Batista to discuss the investment of the country's hotels. After this, Michael goes to a little gathering with Roth and the other mob bosses to celebrate Hyman's birthday. At this gathering, Michael says he saw something strange happen, exclaiming he saw a rebel explode a grenade he had hidden in his jacket while being arrested. He ended up killing himself. And a captain. He goes on to say the rebels can win, and Roth isn't happy about Michael saying this. This scene shows Michael knew the rebels were a real threat to the officials and police. So if Michael knew this would just be another reason Michael wouldn't want to give Roth the $2 million for the deal. Of course, with Michael knowing Roth wants him dead. Seeing this and hearing about the brewing of a revolution is very possible. Michael knows this is all Roth's little scheme. He sees through Roth's cunningness, disregarding Hyman saying he will turn all his interests over to him in the future. And as the movie unfolds, we see the revolution occur, and Michael doesn't pay the $2 million, whereas everyone else who paid lost their money. This is a pretty poor blunder from Hyman. Why did he invest so much into Cuba, with the rebels being so prominent? Even though Roth was extremely wealthy, he still lost a ton of money, and most likely lost some trust within the mafia for this move as well. In the process, he nearly got himself killed by Michael's hitman. Another huge mistake made by Roth. But there's one more mistake that was even worse. We have to backtrack before the Cuban Revolution happened to a conversation between Michael and Roth. Michael walks in on an ill Hyman, accompanied by Johnny Ola. Hyman immediately says he senses a bag full of money brought by his brother and asks where it is. Michael says he wants to wait, and then promptly asks who had Pentangeli killed. Roth responds, the Rosado brothers. And Michael comes back asking who gave the order because he didn't. With Michael figuring out Pentangeli was dead at the hands of the Rosado brothers, he without a doubt knows it's Hyman Roth who gave the order and can now conclude that it was Roth who tried assassinating him. Continuing on, Roth gets up from the couch and proceeds to talk about a friend of his who rose up the ranks together. The man he was talking about was Moe Greene, his good friend. And for the first time in the film, Hyman gets angry talking about his death. Hyman says he never asked who gave the order on Moe Greene's death because it had nothing to do with business, and it was the business we've chosen. This exchange tells Michael that Roth knows he was the one who killed Moe. This moment woke a monster from the shadows up. Michael knew very well what Hyman's motivation was, and he wasn't going to stop until he avenged Moe. This was now deeply personal for Michael. This little rant from Hyman lit a fire in Michael's soul to crush arguably his biggest enemy. If Hyman played this game of chess with more patience after his failed attempt on Michael, he may have caught Michael slipping. But Hyman's personal vendetta took over, and he overstepped just a little. After this, Michael matches Roth with a failed assassination attempt of his own. At the end of the movie, we see Hyman on the run trying to be accepted into countries like Panama, Israel, and others. But no one wants to take him and his baggage in. Instead, he will try Miami, and Michael says he wants the assassination met there. Roth caused this. We see Michael cold in this scene, telling Tom that you can kill anyone. Not only did he cause Michael to go into his psychopath mode, but his monumental misjudgment of the Havana deal caused him to be on the run. If he hadn't messed up the deal, he wouldn't have been denied from so many countries, thus possibly preventing his death. This enemy became deeply personal for Michael, and he needed to have Roth dead, whereas Tom suggests he'll be dead due to his illness in 6 months. Tom further says that this hit would be impossible, saying it would be like trying to kill the president. But Michael completely disregards this and further orchestrates this plan. And in the end, we know what happens.